Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank. I'm that you are having a great day, and in today's video, I'm going to be sitting back in my very squeaky chair, relaxing and having a little conversation with all of you guys about hype, bullishness, inflation, and the market, and something to look out for when it comes to the TCG market. You see, in my previous video, I had talked about One Piece, my feelings on the card game in general, and my belief, my opinion, that the card game was a bit overinflated at the moment, and people should just be a bit cautious. And one of the messages I received after that video went live was along the lines of, hey, Uncle Frank, I know you're a bit skeptical of One Piece and Pokemon right now. What are some things you look out for? What are some things you use to determine whether or not you think a TCG is overinflated, overhyped? And that's an easy one to answer, so I'm going to hope that this is a quicker video. You see, there are two broad things I look out for when it comes to overhyped status for a TCG. Two things that I just kind of use to indicate maybe, just maybe, I should consider not touching that for now. I should put my attention elsewhere. And those two things are the financial side and the emotional side, the vibe side, the reaction from the players and the collectors and the investors. You see, if a box or even several boxes in a row are bought up, are hard to find, and have inflated prices on the secondary market, that can be a pretty good indication that the TCG in general is overhyped, overinflated. However, it's totally possible for several sets in a row to be just absolute home run slam dunk sets with great synergies with one another. They're all meta defining in some way or another. And so more and more people buy them up, and more people just keep scooping them up, making it very difficult for anyone to get a hold of anything at a reasonable price. It's definitely true that a lot of interest in a game can be organic from collectors and players who just want all the cards for one reason or another. This can lead to some inflated prices as boxes are torn open faster than they stock the shelves with them. Totally viable thing, totally possible. However, if you combine that with the second factor I look out for, then you start to get a bit worried, and it's no longer about people who are just ravenously purchasing the boxes. It's about people who are overconfident in the boxes. You see, yes, it's certainly true that a TCG can naturally have one set or even a group of sets in quick succession skyrocket in value. In fact, for out-of-print sets, this happens literally all the time. Point to any non-Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, and a lot of their older sets, especially after they're over 5 years old, start to climb up in value, or at least that's how it was for the longest time. The older a set is, obviously, the more potential it has to go up, as more and more people are nostalgic for it, etc., etc. However, this phenomenon specifically refers to newer sets. I'm talking more about the new stuff, the stuff in the last 6 to 12 months, recent stuff. So when you combine sets flying off the shelves with an overall vibe of overconfidence and overexcitement and over bullishness, then you have what I believe is an overhyped market for a given TCG. This is not talking about One Piece or Pokemon. This is in general. Any TCG can experience this, theoretically. You know, if you've got a bunch of people going, yep, I don't know, 6 months into my TCG journey, and I've bought up every Prismatic Evolutions box I can get a hold of, and I'm diamond hands in that stuff, baby. I'm never selling. It's all going to go to the moon, and I'm going to be retiring off of my Prismatic Evolutions investment, or my Journey Together investments, or my Team Magma, Team Aqua dual pack investments. Anybody remember that set? The one that had the cool Kyogre and Groudon art cards. Those were really nice. They used to be really cheap cards. I wish I had the Kyogre one, honestly. You know, when you combine inflated prices out the gate with this overall air of hyper confidence in the future performance of a product, then you get something that leads me to be more skeptical of approaching that given product. Very loud truck zipping by right now. As slowly as possible, too. Like, why are you revving your engine going at like 5 miles an hour? You guys hear that, right? Okay, cool. So, you combine this overall hyperinflated price point that a lot of these sets are receiving, combined with this overall general confidence that these price points aren't only sustainable, but will go further up and can only go up. That gives me room for concern, and that tells me that I should, back off, reconsider, eyeball something else. This doesn't have to be sustained, by the way. It's totally possible for one set or even a handful of sets to just be super overinflated, super hyped. It's happened before, and it will happen again. But it's also true that a given card game can, in general, overall experience it like what we're seeing right now with One Piece and Pokemon. I'm not saying that One Piece and Pokemon will collapse or are going to zero because they're going to pop and all this hype and speculation is misplaced. But I am saying that the overall state of those games, where prices are way up here and opinions are way up here with a lot of rationality going into it, especially for a lot of newer people entering the market, that does tell me that while One Piece and Pokemon are up here, my attention's over here, somewhere else. Just because there's a lot of risk, inherently so, for TCGs that are overinflated, or overhyped, I should say. And I think a lot of the more rational people out there understand this kind of intrinsically. The dichotomy of buy low, sell high is like beaten into a lot of people who are, for lack of a better word, indoctrinated into the world of TCG finance. And a lot of them remember that phrase very well. Sure, some of them lose the way. They think that buying into a set when it's only gone up $100 in the pre-release weekend, they think that that's the low point and it can only go up. But they lack a snapshot of the future, which leads to reckless choices, in my opinion. Meanwhile, there's people like me who will eyeball games and sets that are not being received that well, that are being kind of laughed at and mocked and are trending downwards on the secondary market and going, yes, delightful, a discount, and they're seeing that opportunity. Now, it's totally possible that that opportunity is just as equally misplaced as the faith in the performance of these high-going sets. It's totally possible that just as One Piece OP14 can collapse to the ground tomorrow and go to zero and all that jazz, and everybody who invested in it at the top is going to lose $1 billion. It's also equally likely that every dollar I throw into a sealed Yu-Gi-Oh box or a sealed Mega Man TCG box can also go to zero. Those card games are not in the greatest position right now. In fact, Mega Man's dead. It's all speculation. It's all risk. But the risk, I don't know, the risk tolerance over here it's different, because one box is $30, the other one's $300 or more. Some One Piece boxes are very expensive. Some Pokemon boxes are very expensive. What I'm trying to say is there are a few factors that I look at. Basically, hyperinflated prices combined with hyperinflated optimism to the point of toxicity that tells me that maybe I should avoid that for a while and look elsewhere for opportunities. So that's all I'm trying to say. Those are some of the things that I look out for when it comes to evaluating whether or not a given card game is overhyped. So I'm glad to answer that question. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. The algorithm loves it, and I love the algorithm. And, of course, check out the Discord, the Patreon, and the TCG player link. All of those are in the description below. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.